Stardew Valley is a relaxing, calming agricultural country life simulator. Clear your overgrown fields, produce crops, go fishing, collect precious minerals and ores, upgrade your house, discover ancient artifacts, and most importantly, get away from the technology and the automation of the modern world and find happiness in genuine human connections. At least, that's how the game is advertised. In reality, Stardew Valley is a heart rate raising, cortisol spiking experience. You don't just produce crops, autistically automate and mass produce them for tremendous profit. Don't just go fishing. Single-handedly outcompete entire fishing companies with a single fishing rod and completely decimate the local ecology. Don't just go mining. Completely strip the caves of their natural resources and slaughter any wildlife that dares to defend its home into extinction. You are not some beta city slicker living off their grandfather's gift. You are a conqueror. And this land, nay, the entirety of the valley, is your birthright. But before we can start our experience, we must make our character. Our character will be the prime example of a Sigma male having a septentillion mindset. I gave him the closest thing I could find to a trench coat and a pair of anime glasses to boot. I then aptly named our farm our hero's favorite thing and started the game. With our protagonist constructed, we can finally begin our journey. Our grandfather, a fellow Sigma male, acknowledges us and sees our potential. He gives us an envelope, instructing us not to open it until we are bogged down by modern life. Several years later, our protagonist is living another normal day, trading cryptocurrency and listening to the Joe Rogan Experience. That is when he has a revelation. He was wasting away, not reaching his full potential in this soul-sucking office job. We open our grandfather's gift, and it is the deed to his old farm, as well as a small amount of money to get us started. We immediately abandon our office job and leave with nothing more than the clothes on our back and some pocket change, and head for Stardew Valley. Finally, I was able to begin. I got off the bus and met with Robin, the local mill carpenter. She escorted me to my farm, which, much to my dismay, was in complete ruin. I then met Lewis, the town mayor, who recommended I introduce myself to the town. I ignored his request, then began my first day in Stardew Valley. The first thing I did was immediately begin to mess with my settings. This is where I realized that you are now able to change the fishing sound. Now, you may notice me struggling to change the sound effect. That's because, even though I haven't touched this game in well over a year, I still have a Pavlovian response to the bite alert sound and instinctively click when I hear it to this day. I decided reprogramming my brain would be too much work and kept the default sound on. I then went to working on clearing the farm. I quickly learned not to mess with the frogs, as they were reality benders and faded into other dimensions at will. Once I'd cleared some space, I planted and watered my parsnips that Lewis had given me, and ran into town to explore. There I discovered the general store and immediately spent every last penny I had on more parsnip seeds. I then began to rummage through the trash, and this was what happened. A loaf of bread! I had found an entire loaf of bread! Now, to those of you who have never played Stardew Valley before, you may be wondering, what's so good about a simple loaf of bread? Well, allow me to bring your attention to the bottom right corner of the screen. This is the energy bar, and it is the single most important resource in the game. And it can only be replenished with food or sleep. If we sleep, the next day immediately begins. It doesn't matter if we go to sleep at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning. We're waking up at 6 a.m. the following day. As such, eating is the only way to replenish our energy during the day. However, food costs money. Money we don't have. So this single loaf of bread is gonna be the equivalent of an entire week's worth of food for us early game. After this, I went back home, finished planting the parsnips I had bought, then went to sleep. Day 2. I received a letter in the mail from a man named Willie, informing me that he has just returned from a fishing trip, and that he has a gift for me. I swiftly water my crops, then travel to the beach to meet him. Willie, the absolute Chad, gives me his old fishing rod for completely free. Unbeknownst to me at the time, this rod would be the single most powerful item at my disposal for these first couple days. You see, fishing takes almost no energy at all, meaning I could fish all day long without risk of running out of energy. Additionally, fish sells for an insane amount of money, and I can even eat them to regain energy. I caught a few fish, then went to explore the beach. There I met Prince Charming from Shrek, and dug up a dried starfish in the sand. I began to explore the town more extensively, and discovered the library. Gunther, an archaeologist, was willing to take my starfish, as well as any other artifacts I could find, and in exchange he would give me gifts for my generous donations. I gave him my starfish, then returned to my farm to show Mother Nature who was boss. After which, I went to explore the forest below my farm, and unfortunately discovered that Leah was mentally handicapped. Day 3. I started the day, and unlike the 2 previous days, it was raining. I quickly learned that this was a gift from the divines, as it meant I wouldn't need to waste energy watering my plants. With the entire day at my disposal and energy to spare, I decided to go fishing to make some extra coin. During the calming rain, I learned the enlightenment that could be brought about by fishing. What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning in death? How deep is Astolfo's bus? Oh yeah, the fish. After spending the entire day fishing, I sold my fish to Willie and received a large sum of coin. I went back home and slept, and was delighted to see that I had managed to level up my fishing skill twice in a single day. Day 4. Sadly, the rain had stopped, and it was back to the grind. I decided to forage for food in the forest below the farm, as I had not eaten in 4 days. During my search, I came across several dandelions, as well as an abundance of raw onions. These would do nicely. Later, I decided to explore the area above my farm, and discovered a strange homeless man living in a tent. I felt bad for him, and gave him some wild horseradish I had found, which, much to my surprise, he actually liked. I also found a small, secluded lake to rescue some fish from. While I was fishing, I also met a strange, depressed e-boy named Sebastian, who, in-game time, smoked for 2 uninterrupted hours. Sebastian ain't no bitch. Day 5. I went outside and immediately saw an intruder on my property. I was about to, rightfully, use my weaponry to evict the intruder from this plane of existence. However, I forgot I had to sell all of my weapons to pay for my bus fare to the valley, and was left defenseless. Luckily, the intruder offered to let me keep the rabid dog she had found, to which I accepted. A new guard dog would help me to keep other intruders off my property. After the intruder left, I was pleased to see that my crops had finally finished growing. I harvested my crops and then placed them in the bin to sell later. After which, I decided to run into town and encountered yet another cutscene. The mayor introduced me to the ruins of the old community center. We went inside to check on the state of the building, and that was when I spotted a small, otherworldly creature. And that's when it hit me. During the confrontation with the intruder this morning, I had forgotten to take my schizophrenia medication. The mayor began to notice my continued disconnection from reality, and quickly made an excuse to leave. Look, Lewis, I know you're not going to eat lunch. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. After Lewis had left, and still in my state of psychosis, I decided to search through the ruins. During my search, I discovered a small stone tablet, which I can only assume had one of the 10 Commandments written on it. If only I could read Hebrew. I ran to the library to see if they had any books on Hebrew, or even just a copy of the Torah. Sadly, neither were to be found, and I trudged back home, defeated. Day 6. I discovered the TV in the corner of my house and realized that I could learn my luck for the day as well as the weather for tomorrow. I checked my mail and saw that I had received a letter from a strange wizard regarding my discovery within the community center. After, I quickly ran into town and once again spent most of my income on more seeds to plant. This time, however, I decided to plant potatoes and cauliflower instead of parsnips. After watering my crops, I visited the wizard to see what information he could offer. Luckily, the wizard, whose full name was Abijah Ephraim Daryawesh, was a master of the ancient Hebrew magics, and he translated the tablet that I found within the community center. For me to learn the secrets of this magic, I would need to eat from his cauldron of manna and matzah. After eating, I felt the power of the earth flow through me, and after a quick, several-hour-long psychedelic-induced psychosis, I had a complete understanding of the magic. Day 7. I decided to check out the cave at the top of the map, and found an old man wearing cosplay. He handed me an old sword and then invited me to join his club as he left. Equipped it with nothing but a pickaxe, a rusty sword, and 18 pounds of raw onions, I descended into the caves. The caves are one of the most fun parts of the game. Being able to search for rare ores and minerals while hacking and slashing through enemies really scratches my mystery dungeon itch. I mined, slashed, and ate my way through 10 floors of the caves before returning home for the night. Day 8. I woke up in a great mood. I had coin in my pocket, onions in my belly, and lots of new gear to look through. Then I went outside. Not only had my guard dog failed to keep intruders off my property, but the intruder was none other than Clint. Now, many fans of Stardew Valley on Reddit, myself included, let's just say, don't get along with Clint. Why is this? Well, he is the only one who can process geodes, which contain valuable minerals, and upgrade your tools, which are essential to progressing through the game. So tell me, why is he only open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.? Literally every other business is open 9 to 5, so why isn't he? Also, Clint can take anywhere from a few days to upwards of a week to upgrade a tool, during which time you just have to make do without it. Furthermore, while he's upgrading a tool, he refuses to process any geodes for you, just further halting your progress. Clint somehow managed to stammer his way through a conversation with me, giving me the blueprints to a furnace, probably because he knows he's too incompetent to smelt metal himself. Clint finally left and I could get back to the grind. I decided to spend my extra funds on a bag upgrade so that I would have more space, then spent the entirety of my day fishing. On my way back home, I spotted this strange homeless man that was living near the caves, rummaging through the trash cans in town. Obviously, he had heard rumors about my loaf of bread that I found. However, he was out of luck. An old, senile man heard him rummaging through the bins. Luckily, his dementia had kicked in, and he confused the homeless man for 3 raccoons in a trench coat. He recruited me to scare them away, at which point I confronted Linus the homeless man. Here I was left with a moral dilemma. On one hand, I could shame Linus, thus saving more trash can valuables for myself. Or I could encourage his behavior, possibly using him as a later ally. I decided to encourage him, and with a newfound confidence, he immediately began searching through the neighbor's trash. Within seconds, he was caught by Gus, the tavern owner, who gave him a free meal because he doesn't want to see anyone go hungry. Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that, Gus. I've been in your tavern on numerous occasions, and I've been living off nothing but raw onions and seaweed for the past week, and you haven't given me shit. After that, I traveled to the community center to finish my first bundle by completing the spring foraging set. I was given 30 wild seeds upon completion, and 2 additional tablets appeared within the community center. I checked out the additional missions and familiarized myself with the items I would need in the future. By this point, I had a pretty good grasp of what I was doing and started to get into a rhythm. The next day, I immediately booked it for the mines, then spent the next 15 in-game hours mining ore, slaying monsters, and eating algae. The day after, I decided to run over to the library to donate some of the minerals I had discovered. On my way there, I uncovered an entire pristine bar of refined quartz in the mayor's trash can, further strengthening my faith. After donating, Gunther gave me 9 cauliflower seeds, which I happily added to my farm. I then spent the following day fishing for 16 uninterrupted hours and raked in around 1,000 gold worth of fish. The next day, I learned that the egg festival would be held tomorrow. Additionally, my mother had sent me cookie yum-yums in the mail, a powerful late-game item. My potatoes had finally grown, and I rapidly harvested them. After this, I discovered the existence of the mission button, and went to go find Robin's axe. As I searched, I was blessed with a harvest of 12 raw onions, and I found her axe. I ran back to town and bought 30 more parsnip seeds to replace my potatoes, and gave Robin her axe back, which she paid me handsomely for. Though it pained me, I brought my collected geodes to Clint for him to open, and discovered this game's version of loot crates. I took my new materials to Gunther, and was given 9 melon seeds for my efforts. However, I couldn't plant them until the summer. I decided to repair the old bridge on the beach, and discovered a strange old man surrounded by several hunks of coral and sea urchins. I collected them and then returned home. Nearing the end of the day, and still with an abundance of energy, I decided to illegally log the forest below my farm, then called it a night. Finally, it was the day of the egg festival. I talked with the people in the town, learned that Pam had spiked the punch, then started the egg hunt. Now, I don't know why I, a 20-something-year-old man, am allowed to compete against literal children in this competition, but I, for one, completely support the mayor's decision to allow it. I, unsurprisingly, dominated the competition, which consisted of 3 teenagers and 2 children, and was rightfully given my prize, a straw hat. I made my way home with my new Luffy cosplay, and slept soundly, knowing today I had crushed 2 children's dreams of winning. After the festival, it's back to the grind. Water the plants, delve into the mines, and fish for extra money. By this point, I have begun to design my future farm for complete domination. My idea? To create a fully automated corn empire. While I may not have touched this game in years, I do remember that corn is the magnum opus of all plants. For you see, unlike other inferior plants, corn can continuously produce throughout its lifespan, and it can survive through summer and fall. This means if I can create a self-sustaining corn farm early in the summer, I will have passive income throughout the rest of the year. And as us intellectuals know, passive income is the name of the game. So, throughout the rest of spring, I fish and farm for as much coin as possible, while mining for enough materials to produce the sprinklers I will need. Finally, the flower festival was upon us, and with it, the end of spring. It soon dawned on me, though, that there might have been a slight problem in my otherwise flawless plan. While I had spent all of my time grinding for coin and materials, I had completely ignored the townspeople, and it was about to backfire. Because I needed a partner willing to dance with me, or I would have to sit alone, awkwardly in the corner. Unfortunately, the highest amount of affection I had with anyone in the town was Jody, but for some reason I couldn't dance with her despite her being a single mom. In a last-ditch act of desperation, I asked Elliot, my second closest friend, to the dance, despite me only having one heart with him. After thoroughly embarrassing myself, the dance started, and I was relegated to the back corner with Clint. Is this really where all my hard work has led me? To be treated the same as Clint? No, soon they'll see. I'd make them all see. And so, as the dance concluded, my conviction was honed. I returned home, liquidated my final harvest, and went into summer with a newfound purpose and $30,000 in cash. Soon, the valley would see my glory.